I really appreciated that. I think it takes a lot of courage to just like really tear up the whole plot arc like that and just say we're just doing something completely different. So.
Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Audiobook Club podcast. I'm Stephen and I have all my friends, as always, Johnny, Michael, Jason. Say hello.
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 We are going to be talking about Golden Sun, which is the second book in the Red Rising series. So the summary of the book is that society, it's like a future society where mankind has advanced and been ordered into into this caste system where everybody is divided up into these different colours where each colour has a job. So somebody might be like a miner, or they might be like a banker or something, and they're all divided into different colours, and there's like a hierarchical structure to these jobs. So as the name of the series suggests, Red Rising, we follow a red called Darrow, who's secretly transformed into gold in order to like infiltrate their society and sort of bring them down effectively, because the golds are sort of evil in a broad sense. They're sort of like on the top, and they're, you know, giving out all the rules, and everybody under them's like worthless to them, sort of thing. So they're seen as the villains of the piece. And so the first book, Darrow sort of enters. I'll cover this in a bit more in a summary, but Darrow goes through this school for golds, and he sort of like rises through that. And the second book is following on from his time in the Institute, where he has to now his mission, as part of his mission for this like freedom fighter organization that he's a part of, he has to he needs to rise in golden society in order to like give them resources. So the second book is like his first attempts at doing that, and all the madness that happens as part of that. Alright, so why this book? I mean, I guess I covered it the last time I was hosting, but I really like this series. It's my favourite book series, and I really wanted to do the whole, at least the first trilogy, the original sort of series. There's 6 books now, but the first 3 are like a set with an ending and everything. So I really wanted to finish those on the podcast because I've been narking these guys for ages to do them. So, a more involved summary of what we did on the last book, right? So like I said, the book follows Darrow, who is a red miner on the planet Mars. Society is divided into 14 colours, and each colour has their own specific jobs and standing within society. Reds are on the bottom and golds are on the top. So after this series of events that happens, Darrow's wife is executed, and Darrow, being distraught, attempts to retrieve her body from the gallows, which is a treasonous act, and for that he is subsequently hanged, but awakes a few hours later in a mineshaft, and it turns out that his uncle drugged him in a way that makes him appear dead, and then stole his body and hid it. He's then recruited by the Sons of Ares, who are an organisation of like freedom fighters, but some see them as terrorists, and they want to liberate Reds from their unknowing slavery and sort of give them equal rights as everybody else. Because the Reds, at least the ones that Darrow belongs to, they believe themselves to be pioneers who are terraforming Mars, when in actuality they're just there mining starship fuel, and they don't know about it. And their conditions are terrible, of course. So Darrow joins this group, and he's secretly transformed into gold through this severe, horrible body modification process known as carving, and he's given the task of infiltrating the golds by joining the Institute, which is an elite school for golds that's supposed to teach them all the skills that they need to rule society. So they learn to like conquer fire and food and warfare, and finally each other. And in the end, only one of them can rise to the top and conquer everybody else, and become known as the Arch Primus. And despite the odds, Darrow actually wins the Institute, and then is offered loads of apprenticeships from all the wealthy families and powerful houses on Mars, including from the Arch-Governor, who is the man who had Darrow's wife executed. And seeing him as like the best chance for achieving his mission, he accepts the apprenticeship of the Arch-Governor and enters his employ. And that's sort of how the first book ends. Alright, so we all like the first book. So I suppose since it's a sequel, going into this one, what were your expectations, everybody? I guess this can be a new section that we do, because we haven't done a sequel before. Johnny, what were you thinking going into this? What were you expecting to happen?
Well, I guess this kind of gets into the plot gets revealed, so maybe I can...
I suppose it does, but I should say I've lost my notes on what you said.
Well, I edited the last episode and I said basically, because I was just listening to it recently, and I said basically everything that happens in this book, so I'll take a point in the water.
Well, someone's going to have to fact check that.
What did I say?
I have no idea what I said.
I don't think I guessed.
I think I said about one son being, like Darrow being like the new son they take over from the Jackal, and then what actually happens then is the Arch-Governor treats Darrow as a son, and then the role gets reversed again, where the Jackal comes back, because whenever Darrow tries to, so I think that was kind of wrong. I can't remember what Michael said, to be honest. But yeah, I guess.
See, I remember thinking that Johnny was sort of close, but in a roundabout sort of way. Like, not exactly what happens, but...
basically what I said, the opposite happened. But, anyway.
I can't remember.
I have no idea.
I guess we'll skip the point given for this, and we'll just go into what Stephen's question was that...
we're out of practice. Go ahead. So what were you expecting to happen?
Yeah, so obviously it was set up so that Darrow is now, although his whole mission has been basically to get, maybe not revenge, I think the mission is to fulfill Eo's dream and free all Reds. Obviously Darrow then has his own mission of revenge, and obviously it was the Arch-Governor that ordered the death of Eo. But yeah, I thought there was going to be a lot of conflict with that, because he's now working basically directly under the Arch-Governor, and he would be in close proximity with him. And how can you be, in close proximity with someone that has basically murdered your wife? But I think that's what I was kind of thinking this book was going to be mostly. It's going to be Darrow, trying to infiltrate further by proving his worth to the Arch-Governor, but at certain times having chances, or, having the battle's conflict with wanting revenge over the ultimate aim, over Eo's goal of freeing all the Reds who are basically slaves. So I think that's kind of what I thought this book was going to be. As what I just said about my guess, I think just to go under the title, Golden Son, I was thinking because the Arch-Governor doesn't really like his own son, who was the Jackal, that Darrow was going to basically become his new adopted son. So I think, yeah, that is kind of what happens, almost. So
yeah, I think you were kind of spot on there, and definitely what you said just now. Like, we obviously, because of how this book starts, and I'll get into that in a minute, but like we sort of jump over all this sort of, I guess, where he would have been feeling a bit more awkward in the Arch-Governor's employ, because it's set a wee bit after. They've been working. He's been working for him for a while now. Like, so skips over a bit of that, but there is still that bit of like, second guessing himself in terms of revenge and stuff like that going on. So yeah, I think you're right. Cool, Michael. What about you? What were you expecting was going to happen in this book? Where, from what you remembered from the first one? Obviously, you've only recently started this and finished it, so you probably have the best remembrance of your expectations.
So what I was expecting going into this book was basically what most good sequels will do is they'll make the story more epic. They'll explore some minor characters will get a lot more development.
That's right. I remember you saying that now. You wanted more development of some of the other characters.
Yeah, I remember you saying that too.
Yeah, I thought the themes would get touched on a bit more. Obviously, the major theme on Red Rising being of oppression and kind of class systems and everything, and us learning more about that and seeing the houses come into conflict. So I think most of what I was expecting was in this book, and I was kind of expecting what most sci-fi sequels do is they tend to like follow the Empire Strikes Back kind of model of the sequel will be involve the baddies a bit more, they'll be more imposing, and it will usually have a darker kind of end. That's usually the model for like a good sequel, so I was kind of expecting something along those lines.
And I would say you're spot on with that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, should I skip you, or do you want to say yours? Because I know you've read it before.
Yeah, I read it before.
Or maybe do you remember
the
first time?
I thought you remember the second time, Steve. It's been that long since we reread it. Okay, yeah, I knew as Michael had sort of touched on, as both of them had sort of touched on, like, you know, the general way things are going to go. Shit was going to hit the fan a wee bit. But I was looking forward to it. I was glad when you had chosen this book so quickly after the last one as well, actually. So, no fanning about it.
Wait to hear what my next pick's going to be.
Oh, jeez.
Can you guess? No, that's spoilers.
All the way to Red God, Stephen.
No,
summer 26.
Well, maybe
summer 26.
Let me see how many picks I get between now and then. We'll see.
I think you'll have.
Okay. Let me do some quick math.
Well, summer 26 now.
I think it'll be close enough anyway. Yeah.
You get you there. I can pick one of them.
Don't you dare! No, you can't.
I'll take the fourth one.
Okay. I like the fourth one gets a bad rep on first listen, but I like it.
Right, we're getting way off topic here.
One. Yeah, okay, sorry. So yeah, that was okay, good. That was sort of the summary of the last book, right? So we'll go into like a nice light review now with no spoilers or any stars. So obviously I loved it. Okay, from what I remember reading it the first time, it was like a step up on the first book, which I thought was phenomenal, and this just kept getting better and better as the book went along. So I loved it. Stick with the order, Johnny. What did you think?
Yeah, so the first book I give an 8 out of 10, just to kind of set what my level or expectations were, at least. You know, I assume the sequel, I know sometimes it's hard to follow, you know, a good book or a good bit of media. You know, like a lot of, say, film series, the first one is always the best. However, I thought this one was better than the first. I did like the first, but because it was that Hunger Games kind of thing. You know, as this again felt to me, I think we compared the first one to Hunger Games, it felt again like the way the second Hunger Games was. Oh, well, maybe not the second one, but the third one, because like the second one is similar again in that it's like all the chump ends, isn't it? But
yeah,
it felt like, you know, you are moved on now to this, you know, being outside of these things, but you're still fighting. You're part of this underground rebellion that's like the Sons of Ares in this case. But yeah, I thought this book was a lot better, which says a lot because I thought the first one was a good book. But I engaged a lot more, I feel, with this one. I think that the first one there was, you know, a lot more, I wouldn't say boring bits, but bits that I was kind of maybe not as interested in. Whereas this one, I felt like that was reduced, and this was just kind of, it was almost constant action throughout this book. There was a lot of tension at parts, which I really enjoyed. Look forward to talking about some of them. Yeah, and it just kind of, although I think it went in a direction that I expected it to, there was a lot of twists and things that I didn't expect as well, which, you know, is quite good. So yeah, overall I would say, yeah, like I think it kind of lures you towards a thing that, like, you know, it kept following this rhythm of some issue coming up for the Arch-Governor, and then Darrow kind of pulling out this mad solution, and then him executing the solution, and you're like, right, well, obviously it was the case of like his solution is so mad that, you know, it's definitely going to go wrong, and then sometimes it would just work, but then after it worked, there would be this follow-up because it was such a mad plan of this fallback, which would absolutely wreck, like, you know, people around him and stuff, which I thought was good in that it was similar to that normal style, but also something different in terms of, you know, the plan that it's like the plan falls apart after the main bit of the plan has gone through. But yeah, I think
that's why I find him such like a good protagonist to like for entertainment wise, like, because, you know, he's intelligent and all, and he has all these like grand schemes that, like, things go like something mental that just works out in their favor. But he also has the other end where he goes too, like, you know, he's too like naive and or like, what's that word? I'm blanking on a word, but he goes too far, and then he ends up missing out on something or failing in some way, and it keeps it interesting for me. So there's always that sort of edge. There's like, you're like, oh, this is going to go wrong, or that sort of feeling. There's always a twist lurking somewhere. I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much.
That feeling just keeps like the tension up for me. But yeah, I thought overall I really enjoyed this book. A bit more than the first one, which also, like I said, was a good book as well. But yeah, I think this one is one of those rare sequels that is actually better than the first.
Nice. Glad to hear. About what you said on the Hunger Games as well, I just, that reminded me of something. I remember when I first picked this one up, that I was thinking, you know how it starts, without going into it too much, in the academy. I was like, oh no, this isn't the same thing again, is it? He's not in the Space Institute now, is he?
Yeah.
So, which he was, but yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, we didn't touch on that too much. Anyway, Michael, what about you? Can you give us like a light review on what you thought?
I think I was the lowest score on the first book with 7.5, which is still a pretty good score, obviously. And I mentioned several gripes and said I hope that they were like ironed out throughout the series, and I definitely do think this book was a good step in the right direction. Basically, almost everything that I mentioned as a flaw for that first book was improved in this book. Trying to remember what I actually said going over now, but I think one of the things I had a problem with was like a sense of jeopardy. I didn't really ever worry about Darrow or think that he was going to fail, whereas he very quickly fails in this book, and that made the sense of jeopardy feel more present within this book than it was in the first book for me. So I was a bit more worried for Darrow, which is what you want, a bit of that tension. I thought that it opened up the world in a really fun and surprising way, and the world building was really excellent. I really like how Pierce Brown, he never feels the need to like over explain something. He'll mention something offhandedly, and you just kind of trust that there's a lot of lore and world building behind this thing that will get explained eventually, or that you can find in some way. But it's just there in the world, and it doesn't need this big massive piece of exposition. So I think he doled that out really well. I thought the plot was very, very well paced. It was very fast paced. It's for my personal tastes, it was a bit heavy on action. I'm more of a kind of slow character drama kind of guy, but I still did enjoy it, and I found that entertaining. As far as the setting, the world building was excellent and everything. I think I had a problem too with Pierce Brown's writing style at times in the first book. I think I said I was being a bit nitpicky there, but it's just the really quick, punchy sentences got a bit much, and I think he does it a lot less in this book, and his writing style is definitely a lot stronger in this book. And obviously I think that first book was the first book he ever wrote, wasn't it? So I think it's pretty common for writers to really hone themselves after their first book, so that wasn't surprising to see that he brought that on. Some of the minor things that I was less fond of in this book, I think the female characters were a bit underwritten, and especially I was a bit disappointed with the direction Mustang's character took after the first book. I didn't think her her plan to marry Cassius or anything really made that much sense, and I just thought it was a kind of it just didn't feel like a satisfying direction to take her character for me. I also thought Nero was a bit underexplored as a character until maybe the last part of the book. It's that last 10% of the book. We get a lot of character stuff. We get a lot of tense character moments, which are my favourite things. I thought the last 10% of the book was absolutely excellent. You know, I won't get into too many spoilers, but we do get more about Augustus' kind of motivations as a character. I thought that was really excellent. Something else I think what Pierce Brown does really well too in this book is something he did in the first book, is like the bro kind of friendship he's really good at. In the first book, it was Darrow and Cassius. It was really entertaining relationship between them. This book, it's more Darrow and Severo, and again, it's probably my favourite part of the book, my favourite aspect. So he's really good at that kind of bromance kind of dynamic. So I was pleased to see that again, and I really liked the character Ragnar. Oh. I thought he was
he's one of my favourites.
Yeah, he reminds me of somebody I've read on a fantasy series, but I can't pin it down. But yeah, he was a really good character. I really, really enjoyed him. So overall, I thought this was basically improved every aspect from the first one, just aside from Mustang's direction, I thought was a bit disappointing. But overall, I think it was a better book than the first one, definitely, and I was entertained.
I sort of agree with what you're saying about Mustang. I definitely agree about Nero. I think he is very much underexplored, and I would like to see more about him, and maybe like another thing, because you learn a lot of the things you learn about him is secondhand. You learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
He's not really in as much, is he? Like,
Yeah, maybe that was like an expectation thing too, because I just thought, I really did think this was going to be really heavy on his character going into this, but he was more, he didn't really feel like one of the main characters. He was there on occasions, but
not when it's important. He's not there. He's either not there at all or he's not doing anything. Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So another character I really liked in this is that we get a bit more on is Jackal. He's a really good character, really sinister. I like how he's written as well in it. I thought, yeah, he's a good kind of foil.
100%. The only thing I'll say about Mustang, I think that's her one flaw as a person, is that she does things, silly things for her family sometimes.
Yeah. Is it Victra too is the other big female character?
Yeah,
I just feel like
good, yeah.
she did. Yeah, I personally, I just didn't feel like she had much depth apart from being a gold and liking Darrow. Like, I wouldn't know much about her personality. I think that's about it. Yeah, character, plot, setting, theme.
Good. Jason, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, there's not really much more I can probably add between what Michael and Johnny have said. I would agree that I feel that Mustang has the Purse written story. Like, it just, I would agree. I don't really see this whole like sleeping with Cassius and how exactly it was supposed to work and why it had to go that direction. And is it just because she's a female character that's the direction he took her? You know, is it just he's a bit pearly at writing woman? But no, I'll say nothing else. The other characters, I feel like the main ones from the previous book, we do get a lot more characterization, we get a lot more information on them, and then we get to meet the goat that Michael's really give a wee shout out to, Ragnar. Best character up there anyways, between Ragnar,
he's
Severo.
definitely up there,
I really like this book. I mean, my opinions on this series have already been made known. I've given the first book a 10 out of 10, and I think this is another very, very strong entry in the series. I think it's if anything, I think it is probably a step up in most departments. So
yeah. Okay, I think we're all aligned on that. That's good. So I'll actually crack into the proper review here now, because there's a good bit to get through, at least the first part. So enjoy my voice for the next few minutes. Okay, so the book opens up, I think it's 2 years after Darrow wins the Institute, and he's been in the employ of the Arch-Governor since. And I don't know what he was doing in between those times. Something to do with construction projects. It's not really touched on much, but at least in the last year, he has been sent to enter the Academy, which, like I alluded to earlier, is kind of like the Institute, but in space. So they learn to dominate each other in space warfare. Luckily, like I said, I was hoping when I went into this book the first time that this wasn't the Institute 2.0, the whole book, I mean, and luckily it's not. We kind of join him at the very end of this new game, and he thinks he's about to win, and he's there, and he's got his like fleet of ships, and his command staff is himself, Roke from the first book, Victra, who we've mentioned, Tactus from the first book, and is there someone else? Can't remember. There might be a fourth person. I can't remember. Or Darrow, yeah. So the three of them from the first book, and Victra. And they're about to win, or so they think anyway. There's one enemy ship left, and it belongs to Carnus Albellona, who is the older brother of Cassius. Cassius being Darrow's former friend and rival turned blood-feuding enemy. And Cassius's family sort of want revenge on Darrow, because he, in the first book, he was paired against Cassius's twin brother, Julian, in the Passage, which is like a precursor thing they have to do to get into the Institute, where they have to kill another student. It's like a rite of passage, basically. And they sort of want revenge on him for that, even though he sort of had no choice in the matter. It was either kill or be killed sort of thing, but they want to say it anyway. So Karnas has been sent to kill him because he's the best killer in the family. And he's got one ship left, and Darrow's sort of like, he's about to blow it up and everything when all of a sudden this big dreadnought ship comes out of nowhere and rams Darrow's ship and destroys his fleet. And everybody has to like get into escape pods and evacuate it basically, and then they've lost the game. But Darrow tries in a final attempt to win by like flying his escape pod through the bridge of the dreadnought, but he's like stopped by the proctors because it's silly and he's probably going to die by doing it. But anyway, he loses the game, and this setback annoys the Arch-Governor and sort of leads him to decide to sell Darrow's employment contract. And Darrow suspects, probably rightly so, that his contract will be bought by or for the Bellona, and they will kill him after that. So now he's on like borrowed time where he has to, find a way either to gain favour with the Arch-Governor or to get someone else to buy the contract to like keep him alive. Because there's sort of like a unstable, or no, sort of like he's basically under a protection of the Arch-Governor, where if they try and kill him, they'll start a war with the Augustus family, and that's not good. So if he leaves that family, he's in trouble. So his contract is going to be sold after the conclusion of the summit, which is this huge gathering of golds that happens every 10 years on Luna, or the moon, which is the society's capital. And on the way there, Darrow's like shunned by all his mates, and they think he's like infectious because he's been marked for death sort of thing. He gets to Luna, and the Jackal makes contact with him. The Jackal being the final antagonist of the first book, who has also been cast out by the Augustus, who is Nero being his father. So he's been cast out for losing the Institute, and also he indulged in a wee bit of cannibalism. So he's been shunned as well, but he wants to make an alliance with Darrow. He says he'll buy his contract if Darrow will help him with his political games that he's doing. I don't know if he says political game. He wants him to help him anyway. And Darrow, of course, agrees because he's got no choice. But during this meeting, Darrow recognises Evie, who is a pink from the first book, who was like present when he was getting carved. So he realises that the Sons of Ares are about to make a move against the Jackal, and he surprisingly saves the Jackal from an explosion, then tracks down the Sons of Ares and confronts them about these terrorist activities that they've been performing lately. And Harmony, who you'll remember from the first book, explains that this is all part of the plan, and that Ares wants Darrow to bomb the gala, which is the final event of the summit, and kill all the golds present. And Darrow reluctantly agrees. So that was a lot of talking, and that was the sort of first chunk of the book, I think, covered. So just jump into your thoughts, Jason. Go you, because I want to stop talking.
You're going to me first, right? I thought this starts off really well. I think it's a very good start to the book. I suppose, yeah, you do. Something you sort of said earlier is he starts off and he's in the middle of the Institute, and you're sort of thinking, oh God, is it going to be just another Hunger Games sort of, another set of trials? But as I said, it's over quite quickly. And I found the sort of kamikaze scene to be quite, attempted kamikaze scene. He also got cut off, but I thought that was going to be quite badass.
It's very Darrow, isn't it?
Very Darrow, just to sort of say, yeah, I'll fly myself into a ship. It would have been badass if it happened. I think then the sort of ensuing downfall of Darrow and the sort of getting battered by Cassius gang, the Bellonas, and all the sort of shit that happens to him is good. It really sets the scene for the sort of what's about to happen in the book. We also then get introduced to a few of the characters from previous books. You sort of said a few of Harmony, and they're being general not very nice people. Before then we run into the Jackal again, who, as we know, is a absolute psychopath. Although he seems to be quite mellowed out at the minute. He seems to be wanting to help Darrow for whatever reason. I mean, we probably all have our suspicions as to what's going on there.
He's definitely playing Littlefinger in this book. That's what the vibes that he's given.
Aye, I can see that. Like, just, you can tell he's doing twisty stuff behind the scenes. And then it sort of leads up to the Darrow agreeing to bomb this gala, which is sort of as far as you took us, you know. I'll not speak about what sort of happens after that, because I assume you're going to chat about the next sort of chunk. But I thought it was a very, very strong start to the book overall. I felt it kept quite a good pace from what I can remember. As I say, a few ups and downs for Darrow as he sort of gets himself back on his feet after the initial being dropped by Nero.
Alright, cool. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I touched on a bit of the intro, and my summary basically said, I think what the beginning does quite well is that it introduces more of a sense of jeopardy than that I really felt was not as present in the first book, for me at least. I like that Darrow is kind of this helpless pawn, that he's basically pleading to be taken into safety. It's, you know, it's a far cry away from him Braveheart kind of first book arc, you know. He's a lot more helpless, and it just gives you the feeling that he's dealing with bigger fish here. So it was nice to see that dynamic at the start. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed Darrow and the Jackal's exchanges too. I think they play off each other really well, and their dialogue together, it can get very like Shakespearean, very haughty, but you know, Darrow's a very poetic kind of guy, likes the big sweeping statements, and that is a lot of what this series is about. So, you know, just kind of enjoy the fun of it. I really enjoyed the terrorist presence too of the Son of Ares. I was pleasantly surprised that they were playing as big a role in this plot that they did, because I thought they were still going to be a bit of a bit part. So I was happy to see them immediately very involved in this plot. It gave this sense of escalation that it was building towards some kind of confrontation between these two worlds that Darrow was entrenched between. So, and yeah, I just wanted to touch on the character Pliny as well. I think, isn't his name?
Pliny
really comes across as like the really greasy, like kind of wormtail kind of. Yeah. That's who I picture. But I thought he was a good, like he liked these characters that are kind of detestable. Thought he was a good presence at the beginning of book 2. So, as in, I enjoyed him.
Yeah, I know what
as
you mean.
Like as a being that I didn't enjoy him. If that makes sense.
He's Joffrey syndrome.
Yeah,
love to hate him. Yeah,
but yeah, I thought this was a solid opening, and I was just glad to see it taking the steps it did to really remove itself from the first book. Not that the first, like, I thought the first book was a good book. Just that, like you guys kind of said, that ground had already been explored, and I was just really glad that the series was opening up in such a way, and it was just like, now suddenly we're just going to be a space opera. Forget about the kind of YA kind of academy stuff. I really appreciated that. I think it takes a lot of courage to just like really tear up the whole plot arc like that and just say we're just doing something completely different. So yeah, no, I think it's a good opening. Yeah.
But it is. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, kind of completely agree with them, with the guys. Great opening. I keep drawing the comparison in my head here to the start of Revenge of the Sith, the Star Wars, the third Star Wars movie. Well, the third as well, and the remakes, or not remakes, sorry, the prequels. Just the way it opens, where like Lemon's doing this big mission, and it kind of seems like almost like a bit of fun, because it is a part of a game. I know there is, like the way the first book was, or the Hunger Games thing, there is, you know, lives at stake, but it's more just the kind of a training mechanism with anything. And I liked, yeah, how Darrow was doing this big, you know, kamikaze, like Michael said there, used the word like poetic. He's just always trying to, you know, do something that could be written in the stories and read for years to come. He's just does these mad theatrical things, and then I liked how he just gets stopped. And it's like, it starts off with him basically, you know, where he left off, where he is the man and he's just in control, and then all that just gets taken away from him, and he's basically just, you know, worthless, and he's just becomes I think as Michael said again, this pawn. I thought that was a great way to start the book, just to kind of, you know, have this just instant demotion. I think there's one character that I quite like throughout this book that was just briefly mentioned there, but there's a scene here is with Karnas. I think there's a scene too here in this opening bit with Karnas and some of the other Bolognas beating the crap out of Darrow. I thought that was quite good. I like especially the voice acting. Is it Peter Kenny does this?
No, it's Tim Jerry Reynolds.
Tim Jerry, Peter Kenny's the Witcher books, which I also listen to at the moment. Yeah, Tim Jerry Reynolds. I think the voice of Karnas is quite sinister. Like this big, it just portrays the character very well. He's just this big unit, like just a massive man that's just very scary. So I quite liked him throughout this book, and how like the whole Bologna family is just after Darrow again, like you mentioned, Stephen, for killing one of the sons, even though Darrow had absolutely no choice. And they should understand that. Like, yeah. They've all done that. Like, it's just so happened. So yeah, thought it was a very strong open there. The Jackal, I think Jackal's probably the best written character in this whole series so far for me. He's just very Joker-esque. He's just wild card. You know, he could do anything. You know, when Darrow's making this deal with him, Darrow knows, I think it's even in Darrow's inner monologue or whatever, it's basically, I know that he's up to something, but I need him right now. So, and the whole fact that he had to save him from the Sons of Ares because he needed him, I thought was a brilliant scene. So I just really like the character of the Jackal throughout this book, and it's obviously good because he only comes into kind of the end of the first book. I think this book, you know, has a lot of the Jackal in it. Yeah. I think that's kind of my favourite parts. I think Jason and Michael summarised a lot of the other things. You know, there's nothing I have else to add.
Cool.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the opening.
One thing you said there about like you know, saving the Jackal and everything, it's something that I forgot to touch on, but like there's a very nice like thing that Darrow says when he's sort of confronted by the Sons of Ares for saving the Jackal, and he's like, my mission's complicated, which is like very much understated. You know, he's got this like impossible mission that's made even more difficult by all the mental goals that he has to hang about with.
I think that's a good point, because like Darrow is obviously working for, you know, the governor, and then he's all at the same time he's double crossing him with the Sons of Ares, and then now he's double crossing with the Jackal, who's against his father but also against the Sons. So it's like he's caught in the three-way web of this battle, and that even gets even more complex as the book goes on. There's like other than when the Sovereign all comes onto it, he gets caught in that. Darrow's just like in the middle of all these conflicts.
Yeah, that's great. No. There's something else I was going to say there about Karnas is a very simple man. If you wrong his family, he's going to bat you, like, as simple as. Yeah,
I know, I like Karnas. Like, I think it was just kind of a great character whenever he pops up. He only pops up a few times in the book, but yeah, you're always afraid of him. And yeah, the first introduction to him with him, you know, beating the shit out of Darrow I just thought was a very powerful scene.
100%. Alright, moving on then. Next chunk. So Darrow has agreed to like bomb this gala and to kill all the golds present, and the Sons give him this like a replica of his Pegasus pendant, which is a bomb. But he struggles with this plan to bomb the gala. He doesn't think it's right, but he sort of has. His like back is against the wall. He sort of has to agree to it because he has nothing else to do, like turn to. You know, because if he doesn't do this, his whole mission is screwed. Basically, is what he's kind of thinking. But so the night of the gala, he decides to like drug one of the golds, his friend Roke, because he doesn't want him to die, thinking that he's one of the few good golds. So he drugs him and like he gets knocked out and leaves him. And then they go to the gala, and like everybody's sort of joking at Darrow, saying like stuff, you know, kind of. He's going to be sold off and everything. But then tensions arise at the gala when Mustang arrives with Cassius. Like, Michael, you touched on this a wee bit. So Mustang has been going with the Jackal. Or, sorry, not the Jackal. That would be mad. Has been going with Cassius. In a way to sort of... that would be very Game of Thrones. Has been going with Cassius to... an attempt to save her family, basically, because there's like a civil war about to erupt between the Augustus and the Bologna family. They're like the two most powerful families on Mars, and they don't like each other for reasons that we learn later. So she's trying to ease that tension by marrying one of them, or at least courting one of them to kind of get everything to simmer down. But of course, Darrow is in love with Mustang, so he sees this and he sort of like it just panics a bit and leaves to get some air. And while he's outside the gala, he sort of realizes that the whole mass destruction angle of bombing the gala and is not the way that he wants to get justice, and it's not Eo's dream, who he's doing this all for, his wife. So he decides that he's not going to bomb the gala, but he's going to follow a different path. So he goes back in and he goes straight up to Cassius and challenges him to a duel to the death. And the Sovereign, like, having been counselled that Darrow is completely outmatched, allows it. The Sovereign wants... also, Cassius has become the Morning Knight, which is like a really high station in Gold Society. So there's like these 12 Olympic Knights, and he's become one of them. And he is part of like the Sovereign's overall plan to control the solar system, basically. So, you know, she allows him to participate in this duel knowing that he's going to win and he's not going to die, because if he dies, then that's her whole plan scuppered, basically. So they have this duel, and Darrow initially like feigns weakness. You'll remember in the first book, Cassius absolutely battered him in the Institute and left him for dead. So Darrow sort of feigns weakness at the start before going to absolutely dominate Cassius and like severs his arm and everything. And he reveals that he's been trained by this legendary blade master, Lorne Arcos, who was mentioned in the first book a bunch too. And then the Sovereign sort of realises her mistake and changes the rules of the duel to allow yielding, and this sort of pisses everybody off at the gala because you can't do that. You can't just change the rules in the middle. And then chaos breaks out when Darrow is attacked by Cassius's relatives, and the whole gala sort of descends into this big mad fight. Loads of golds die and everything. It's mad. It's good crack. The Augustuses are like trying to make a break for it then to get back to their ship and get to their fleet, but they're eventually stopped by the new Rage Knight, aka Fitchner, who was Proctor Mars in the first book and Severus' father. So he's risen to another higher station because of Darrow's win at the Institute. He's become the Rage Knight, and he sort of stops them. And this is one of my favourite scenes in the book, where he, like, you know, the Arch-Governor tries to bribe him and Fitchner stuns him and everything. I think it's brilliant. So anyway, the Sovereign then attempts to like turn Darrow to her side. She offers him freedom if he'll be loyal to her, but beforehand she wants him to play a game of truths where the first person to lie loses the game. But there's a twist, of course, where they each have this like scorpion creature attached to their arms, and it's able to sense when one of them is lying, and it'll inject them with poison. But Darrow manages to outmaneuver her and reveals that she had a plot to kill Augustus at the gala, and this angers Mustang, who has been in the Sovereign's employ as well. And that's sort of this next bit that I want to touch on. Darrow sort of pretends to agree to be loyal, and then we'll cover the next bit in a bit. So, Michael, what did you think about this chunk?
Yeah, I was more mixed on this chunk, to be honest. As I said, I already touched on this on my review, like, but as I said, I'm not a massive fan of this arc that Mustang was put on. It's sort of, I think it puts all her power and agency kind of into her and her gender, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's just disappointing from who she was in the first book. But I've touched on that ad nauseum already, so I'll move on to other parts. The Cassius and Darrow duel, I thought it was kind of cool, but I also thought it felt a bit plot armory like for me. Just
yeah, I know like, what you mean. Yeah, that sense of urgency that does feel a lot more present in this book. It reminded me more of like the first book, where Darrow is kind of the man, and we just know it's about Darrow, how awesome Darrow is, kind of, and I just didn't feel like there was any danger. I know. The plots, the good guys won, or they either won, or if they die at the end. You know, it's nobody's ever in real danger, but it's like you want to be caught under the illusion, kind of, and this kind of scene broke that illusion for me a bit. But I thought it was a good, inciting incident, and I enjoyed everything going crazy. Appreciated the
the callback to Fitchner and him being brought back into it. I knew he was going to come back into it because I think you mentioned how much you like him in the last one, and I knew he was going to recur.
Just like,
and I was glad to see him back in it. Yeah. I thought the Game of Truths, I thought that was absolute brilliant scene. Probably one of my favourite in the book anyway. It was probably the one of the scenes that was more about drama than action, and I thought the tension in that scene and Darrow actually having to evade and the worry about his secret getting out, I think it was played really well in that scene. It reminded me of the moment in like Dune where the box, I can't remember what you call it in Dune, but it reminded me of that. I thought that was a great scene and really tense, really good drama. So a bit more mixed at the start, kind of wasn't as good at this part for me, but the ending and that scene with the Game of Truths I really enjoyed.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like the box might have inspired that Game of Thrones scene, to be honest. But yeah, I still love it. And Fitchner, I like I said, I love his angle. I love the whole bit where he's like, Augustus is like, "Where's my bodyguards?" And he's like, "Oh, your dogs were barking so loud." And stuff.
Yeah.
I just love that. Cool. Jolly?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this section. The part for me that I really enjoyed was the whole duel with Cassius and Darrow pretending that he wasn't as good of a fighter. Like, you just knew, I think I knew something was going to I didn't think it was going to be this, that they would actually fight or whatever, and but I think, you don't expect it just to be a duel game because, Cassius is a lot better than the last time, so I thought like somebody was going to intervene or something was going to happen, like the Sons of Ares were going to burst in or something like that. But yeah, I thought this was pretty cool, that Darrow just absolutely wrecks him. It's just such a cool scene. The whole Mustang thing, I don't know if I love that like thing, but I don't have an issue with it. Like, I think her doing that for family is a good enough reason. I think it's maybe a stupid idea. I think there's better things she could have done, but I can understand why she maybe chose to do something, because it does come up later about this conflict of her family and stuff. But yeah, I think that the introduction to the Sovereign too, I think the first bit when you're introduced there is like she's like just listening a lot. She doesn't seem to, Darrow notices she isn't really speaking, but she's just like listening, taking it all on, and it just kind of makes you think that she's probably pretty clever, or very, very good at scheming or whatever. Like, she's just trying to find out as much information as she can, as opposed to, wasting her time telling people things. It's better for her to know more about them than they do about her. So I kind of liked the mysterious nature of her introduction at this point anyway. What else happens? Yeah, the whole Darrow thing that he goes there for, the plan of blowing up the Institute, the Gala. I liked that was the plan, and that was what I went there for. The whole thing with Roke and putting him to sleep, which comes kind of up later again. Roke being one of his best friends, and he just knows he's a good person, because I think at that moment, like, Roke offered to buy, or get his parents at least to buy Darrow's contract so that he would basically be under their protection. So like, he was a good friend and a good person. I think that was a nice scene. And then the fact then that Darrow has that wee moment, he goes outside and he's about to like press the button or whatever, to blow up everybody and kill himself in the process, and then he decides against it and he's like, no. Which I thought it was a bit funny that he was going to do that, but he had all this training and he definitely knew that he could have went and wrecked somebody with his razor or whatever. So I was like, yeah, I mean, why would he have blown up the place, like, when he had to do that cool moment and wreck Cassius first. But yeah, I thought it was the whole conflict then with Mustang, going with Cassius and all that. I thought it was quite good, and how it affects Darrow. And even though I think he finds out pretty soon that why Mustang was doing that, or maybe it is a bit later in the book, but he kind of knows that Mustang's not doing it to get at him or anything. He knows she's doing something else. Like, it's nothing to do with like jealousy or anything like that. I kind of like that whole arc of this part of the book as well. How far did Stephen go on this?
I just got to the end of the Game of Truth, and then.
Oh yes, the Game of Truth is quite a good scene. Yeah, I don't have much else to add on what Michael already covered of it, but yeah, it's another quite good. So I think I feel like that's what a lot of this book is, just like these pretty good like scenes just throughout it. So I just think there's a lot more to come. But yeah, definitely the highlight of this section was the whole battle of Cassius, and then it all kicking off then.
Nice one. Jason, you want to finish us off in this section?
Yeah, again, I think a lot of my main points for this section have been discussed already. Obviously, a very big thing that happens at the very start is how Rook gets tranquilized, which then sort of does come back to bite Darrow in the arse a wee bit by trying to do the right thing. I agree with Michael in that the sort of slightly plot armory fight against Cassius, and like how Darrow just sort of reveals, like, actually I'm sick as fucking fighting because I've had all this secret training. And correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, I feel like that maybe does happen at least once more down the line. Someone does something similar like that, don't they?
Trying to think now.
I feel like that's happened further down the bit. Something similar happens. I feel like, anyways. But I was just
maybe.
Maybe I can't remember exactly, but I just feel like that's something I remember happening when I was reading through the books. I was like, is this again? How many secret combat training can we have? Like, but yeah, I actually think the action scenes in there, apart from being about plot armory, like, I think the action scenes, the fight scenes, are very well written, and I thought the whole sort of tension with that gala between Rook being knocked out and then him not going along the plan and everyone showing up, I think it set the tension really well. Before I just talk about the Game of Truth, the other thing is just Fitchner showing up. You mentioned Dave Severo's dad. I knew that, but I can never remember when we find that out.
It's at the end of this book.
End of the book, yeah. Cause you mentioned
it's
it
well
at the start.
in the first book. Sorry, I clarify. In the first book, Darrow works it out that he says that,
right,
based on their mannerisms, and then I don't think they talk about it though. I think after this, actually, because Severo's about to reappear, I think he mentions about his dad.
Maybe at this stage.
Severo calls him
you find out about it, and do you not find out about this in the first book? The Severo,
pretty sure, yeah.
Pictures his dad. Yeah, you definitely find out about that in the first book.
I can never remember. Yeah, I like the character of Fitchner too. I mean, he's just very much Severo, like, realistically. And I quite like the Game of Truths. I can see the comparisons with that, the sort of box in Dune. I also sort of think it reminds me a bit of like the riddles in the dark from The Hobbit.
Yes, very good, yeah.
That's sort of the comparisons I get with that scene a wee bit. Just, slightly different context, but it's like, you have to do this thing or you'll die, essentially. But no, I still thought it was a good section. Yeah, the Mustang stuff definitely, I think, is weakness on the part of Pierce Brown's writing. I think he does sort of throw her under the bus a wee bit and use her. What else could she do to be relevant than have sex with the baddie, which would also give Darrow something to be pissed off about, Yeah. But yeah, I think that could have been dealt with better. But
alright, now this is where my notes go a bit more like, so not as much density as the talking. Right, so Darrow, the Game of Truth happens, and then Darrow sort of agrees to be in the Sovereign's employ and be loyal to her. And there's this scene where like Fitchner takes him to his room and everything and says, "Oh, we'll go to market tomorrow and we'll buy you like a whole staff of people to work for you and do your stuff and all, and be happy with your station," sort of talk and all this here. And Darrow's like, "Nah, because they're gonna kill all my mates." So with Mustang's help, who's now annoyed at the Sovereign, they steal something from the Sovereign, and also it's revealed that Mustang was plotting the entire time to like help Darrow because she has brought the Howlers back. Well, brought them to Luna to help him. So Severo reappears and some other faces like Quinn and like Screwface and all the other Howlers, and they go with this thing that they've stolen. And they rescue the Augustus house, who are now like being pinned down by the Sovereign's men. And they using this thing that they've stolen, they use it as like a bargaining chip. Which I just said, they've stolen the grandson of the Sovereign, and they're using him as a bargaining chip. Lysander is his name as well. They use him as a bargaining chip to like get off planet. But in the chaos, Aja, who's the Sovereign's like right hand, manages to kill one of the Howlers, Quinn, which is gonna annoy Rogue Rook later on because he fancies her. So anyway, they escape from Luna, but it seems like they're not going to get very far because Tactus ends up betraying everybody when he steals Lysander, jumps out the back of the ship because he sort of only looks out for himself, or that's what it seems like. And it's like, okay, they're about to get shot down now. It's sort of, again, the tension is really high now at this point. And it's like, how are they going to escape now? Because the big dreadnoughts, like we heard at the start of the book, are kind of inbound. And Darrow's like, I've got the plan. This is what I was going to do at the academy. So he loads himself and several into these star shells, and he's going to blast at the bridge of the dreadnought to like break in and take over the bridge. And if they get the bridge, then they can take the ship and save everybody. So they successfully do this, proving that Darrow was right in the academy, and he probably would have won. But anyway, so then they capture the ship, and Darrow has this whole big speech where he turns all the like low colors against the golds. He manages to capture the ship, which he then renames the Pax, and they fly off to safety. And then there's sort of a civil war that's ignited now as a result of the gala events, where Augustus is like annoyed that he was going to be killed and wants to be king of the society, basically, or king of Mars. So there's sort of like a civil war between them and the Bellona going on, but they've been like laughed out of Mars, so they're sort of on the run with their like fleet and whatever. And there's this like war council that happens, and they try and decide what to do before Darrow steps in and says, I've got a plan. We're going to get Arcos as his mentor, who has the third biggest fleet on Mars. We're going to get him, and also we're going to capture some of the Institute students to use them to the ships and everything, so that they can stitch together a fleet. And so there's this whole big scene where Darrow goes to Arcos' planet and sort of tricks him into joining the rebellion and everything. I say rebellion, the Augustus side of the Civil War. In the meantime, Augustus has been captured, and Pliny has betrayed Augustus in favour of the sovereign, because he thinks that this whole thing is a terrible idea, and he's sort of out for himself. So now Augustus is captured, and Darrow's sort of like the main guy on the Augustus side, and he's decided to call for an Iron Rain, and that's leading into the last sort of chunk that I want to talk about. So, Jason, do you want to give us your thoughts on that sort of section that I just covered?
Yeah, well, it was quite a large section.
Yeah.
You can tell your notes are short in a bit. But,
I'm sweating.
Fair enough. It's been a while. There's quite a lot happens. We get I think we get introduced to Lysander for the first time. He has a bit of consequence for a very short period. Am I right in saying he's Lauren's grandson?
He's the sovereign's grandson and also Lauren's grandson, yeah.
Yeah.
But like they're the two sides, they're not with each other.
No, yeah, they're not with each other, yeah. No, I was just double checking that. So, yeah. So we get introduced to him. We have the whole sort of backlash of the Civil War sort of thing, as you said, from the result of the gala and all this mad fighting and this sort of escape. I feel like it's like the whole sort of Lysander being held prisoner and then being rescued. I feel like that does happen a bit quickly, but I suppose it just keeps the action keeps things at like quite a quick pace. And then Darrow also does this big mad kamikaze thing, and we finally get introduced to Ragnar, who just rocks up.
I forgot about Ragnar.
You didn't even mention Ragnar, no? He just rocks up in Rex Pettidudes, and we start to sort of see the seeds forming of this rebellion, non-golds against the golds, which is, I suppose, probably like almost probably 2/3 into the second book of a planned trilogy on rebellion. We're sort of finally starting to see a bit of the seeds of rebellion being sown and coming to light. Again, the other thing that you probably didn't mention, I think, was just during all that fighting that Quinn gets murdered, which I think is also like the sort of...
He did mention Quinn, yeah.
He did mention Quinn, sorry. Which I think is just like the final breaking point for Roke, really, and what's to come. I think between the being drugged and then that happening, I think that's just enough for him to blame Darrow for everything.
I think there was that when he realised that he thinks that Darrow's not a good person, but then it's the next bit where they're trying to trick Lauren, and Aja's there, and he wants Aja because Roke wants to kill Aja because she killed Quinn, who he fancies.
He won't.
Or fancied, and Darrow has this plan of using Aja to get into it's to track down the Sovereign basically with radiation. And he doesn't tell Roke that. And that sort of pisses Rogue off even more. So I think it's that point where he's like, right, you know what, I'm done with this.
Well, yeah. I suppose that's leading up to that. And then we finally get introduced. We finally meet Lorne for the first time, who I feel is actually just a bit of a grumpy old man. But understandably, he would be grumpy if a bunch of people rocked up in your peaceful planet and was like, yeah, we need you to come fight a war for us. Otherwise,
he just wants to be left alone.
He just wants to chill. And then they're like, yeah, well, we're going to take you anyways. Psych. I think I just thought the action scenes throughout this were pretty good. I thought the tension was well paced. I didn't think things slowed down very much at all in this section. As I say, you sort of maybe skimmed through a few bits there, but I thought overall still a very good, very strong section.
Yeah, what was I going to say? I'm kind of the only thing I wanted to say about it was Tactus as well. You didn't mention Tactus. I was kind of sad when he died. It was kind of justified because he was an asshole, but I liked him as a character. And yeah, I skimmed a bit. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty steady paced from about the part of this section he started until about maybe the last 10% of the book then, which is the denouement, and it's just it's really constant action, really fast paced. So it's quite an entertaining read. I personally, my tastes, I like a bit more character slow down moments interspersed throughout there, but I can definitely see why a lot of readers just who it's really their thing just really love this kind of constant action. But and I did find it entertaining. As well as just a personal thing where every now and then I do like a little character moment. But I was happy to see Severo and some of the old characters come back at the start of this section. It was pretty interesting seeing the mission turn on Augustus, and it kind of touches on what I think it was Jonathan mentioned, that all these kind of different conflicting things that Darrow has to do throughout this book, and sometimes probably doesn't even know why he's doing it. It's also twisted, the motivations. It's really well done. And as I mentioned on my my summary, I really like Ragnar as a character right from the moment that he was introduced. I knew this guy's gonna be. I'm gonna really eat up every scene this guy's in. I'm just gonna be loving reading that. Lauren as a character, I thought, grumpy old man pretty much sums it up. I kind of like him as a character too. Get where he's coming from and everything. That kind of reluctant mentor sort of figure.
The guy's been through it all and doesn't want anymore.
Yeah. No, I can definitely understand his motivation. I thought the whole Civil War it was a good place to take the story, and it built a lot of tension and a lot of increased a lot of intrigue between these houses. And I know we're laughing that I like Pliny again. I kind of like that he's such a opportunistic little weasel, and just goes over to the Sovereign here.
Well, that's kind of that's all the goals. Well, a lot of the goals really, they're all sort of out for themselves in the end, and they'll just take any opportunity to further their own interest.
Yeah, I like that because I think it's very realistic to the way some people would behave in a war scene. There just would be people who are very, very opportunistic and very pragmatic, and they'll just go to the stronger side if they have the opportunity to do that. So the motivation makes a lot of sense to me. So, but yeah, it's pretty constant. I'd say the pace is it's absolutely does not let up from now until around till the near of the end of the book, where it does take a bit of a breather then.
All right, Johnny, what did you think?
Yeah, just I guess Jason and Michael give good cover there, but I think the Tactus thing, I think you said there is quite sad. Yeah, I thought that whole scene, him, I think it's the grandkids. The Tactus is essentially about to kill, and Darrow talks him down. I thought because Darrow's basically saying I can't forgive you if you walk away now, you know, and Tactus is, you know, crying and wants to come back, and he regrets what he done and all, and Darrow's like, you know, yeah, you can come back if you just, you know, put away your sword or whatever, and, you know, come back to me. And then I think they hug or whatever, and I was just thinking, yeah, this is going to be one of those ones where then Darrow just kills him because, you know, he knew he couldn't change, and he was always going to be at a risk. But I thought it was quite good the way it was done, that Darrow actually genuinely was going to forgive him, and then how Lauren is the one that just comes on and kills him. I thought it was brilliant. It was quite sad, but also, you know, I feel like, yeah, Tactus needed to die in a moment. Like, I felt like you could, how Darrow was being a bit stupid there, and how could he ever trust him again? I know that talking him down was obviously the tactic, but the fact that Darrow was generally going to actually like try and bring him back in, I thought was a bit stupid. But yeah, I really liked that whole thing. I liked the whole this thing with Lauren as well, and Darrow coming back and basically forcing Lauren to join up and become part of this war. I thought it just kind of shows Darrow's ruthlessness, and that, you know, Darrow is getting qualities like the gold that the golds have, is just becoming ruthless because that's the way you have to be to battle against the other golds who are also ruthless. But yeah, just like pulling Lauren. I know Lauren kind of betrayed Darrow because that let the Sovereign know where he was or whatever, but because they were gonna, or like he led Darrow into this trap.
No, plenty betrayed him. Lauren was just like, I couldn't tell you, like, or else.
Yeah.
Aye, Lauren can do.
But anyway, like, yeah, Lauren couldn't really do much about it. But yeah, like, it just shows, like, I think there's this whole thing where Darrow is like a son to Lauren or whatever. Lauren sees him that way because I think Lauren's sons were killed. So I thought that, yeah, it just shows you how ruthless Darrow is, and kind of creates this unlikability about him as well, but also kind of, you know, yeah, Darrow is just a badass at the same time. I really like that. Yeah, introduced as well to the character of Ragnar here. I thought it was such a good introduction to him. It's like there's like all these ones trying to come through the doors, and that they're all waiting for this like onslaught of golds to come on and attack them, and then all of a sudden all of them are dead, and there's just this big unit just standing there. I just thought it was brilliant. And he's just such a good character in terms of, you know, him and Darrow's relationship, and what, I don't know if we've covered that but what happens with him then next. I thought that was good. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to add on this bit.
Yeah, I you know what, I'm gonna touch on Ragnar again, and something else that I forgot about too. So firstly, in this bit of the book, Darrow, well, several kind of hints to Darrow that he knows Darrow's a red, that he's aware of it, and he was made aware of it by certain parties, and he's trying to get Darrow to admit it to him. And, you know, Darrow's obviously hesitant because he can't tell anybody, otherwise, you know, he's sacked, like. But eventually he does give in and tell several, and they have this like emotional bit where they sort of hug it out, and he's like, oh, finally I can tell somebody, do you know, I'm not on my own, sort of thing. And Severo's like, like, you know, well, I always liked your angle or whatever, and he's all about it. And it turns out that Severo has been also recruited by the Sons of Ares. He's a gold, but he's been recruited by them to like help Darrow basically. So that's one thing.
That was a really nice moment, yeah.
Yeah.
For Darrow, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
I really liked that exchange, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a classic bro moment, like you were saying earlier, Michael, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bro
so there
moments,
was,
yeah.
Yeah, there's that one, and then Ragnar, who is a very important character. So Ragnar is an obsidian, and they're sort of as low as a red in the society, but they've been, instead of being like tricked into believing that they're pioneers and miners, they've been given like the mythology of Vikings, Norse mythology, and they believe that it's all real and stuff, and they're tricked into like serving the golds as though they're the gods in Norse mythology. And they're great. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, I thought you were done there. Sorry, I was just going to say I thought that was a really cool, interesting concept to like have these people who are just completely tricked into this like mythological propaganda. I just thought that was really, really cool bit of world building.
Yeah, 100%. They think Norse mythology is real and that the golds are gods, and their greatest ambition is to like, you know, get on a ship to the stars and like join the golds and or join the Sunborn, as they call them, and serve them and everything. So they're like these hulking like men. They're like they're taller than ghouls, aren't they? Or they're maybe roughly the same height, and that's like 8 foot or something. So these massive gargantuan men and women and stuff, and they're basically like bodyguards, and for like high ranking people, and they're elite warriors, and they'll absolutely decimate you. But within the Obsidians, there's another like level where you can be a stained, and a stained is like they're just the best at killing. Like they're unmatched at killing people, and if you see a stained coming, you're fucked basically. So Ragnar is a stained, and when Darrow takes over that ship, he hears this big hulking voice coming over like his comms, and saying like, "I'm coming to meet you" and everything, and it's Ragnar, who comes to offer him stains, which means like offer him his service because he's taken over the ship, which means he's taken over property of him and stuff. And Ragnar goes on to be like a very important figure throughout the rest of the series. Sorry, I forgot about him because I love him.
How could you? I know.
I know, how could I? I was, you know what? I had these notes scattered, and I was just kind of like, rushing through it. But anyway, and another point is that, well, this kind of goes into this next. I'll just jump into the next section. So, the whole thing with Lorne happens, and while Darrow's there trying to convince Lorne, Aja and some of the Sovereign's men arrive and try and like obviously capture Darrow, and also turn Lorne to their side, and he doesn't want to be part of either side, so this fight sort of ensues, and Darrow sets off an explosive which kind of scatters all the men, and Aja flees. That'll be key. I gave it away already. He was doing that purposely because he knew she was going to be there to like track her, because her armor would be like radiated from the bomb blast, and he knows that she's like the Sovereign's right hand, so to find the Sovereign, to track her down, you can track Aja down, which was pretty clever, I thought. But that's kind of revealed later on. So anyway, they recruit Arcos, and Darrow calls for this Iron Rain. You shoot men from the sky in suits of armor to like rain down on the planet and start capturing sections of the planet and everything. And there hasn't been an Iron Rain in years, so he sort of gets a wee bit of support because of that, because people want to participate and everything. And then Lorne also manages to rally some people to the cause. So they go to Mars to do this, and the Bellona have sort of like barricaded themselves into the big cities and everything, and the Iron Rain happens, and you get a really like vivid description of what happens when you're shot out of a fucking cannon towards a planet, and it's people throw up and they piss themselves and whatever. It's pretty gruesome sounding, and people cry as well. It sounds pretty horrible. But anyway, they get shot onto this planet, and there's a whole series of events where like Darrow has been pinned down by Bellona men, and they sort of fight their way out of this and so on. But eventually they get to like a riverbank, and it's like on the outskirts of the main city on Mars. And Darrow has a plan where he's asked the Sons of Ares secretly, obviously without anybody else's knowledge, to leave like a drill, or to drill a hole through like the main, underneath the water, but like through the, basically so they can sneak in. And they managed to sneak in, but Cassius was smart enough to know that Darrow would try and do something like this, and has men waiting for him, and Darrow's men all get trapped in an EMP, and they're all about to die. And then Darrow like frees himself and manages to free Ragnar, who he gives a razor, which is like illegal for an Obsidian to have, and that's a whole thing. But anyway, they basically like rush. They manage to like free their men and like make this desperate rush towards the Citadel, where Darrow knows the Sovereign is, and if they can capture her, they can basically just take over and end the whole war, and they're the power in the solar system. So they sort of rush towards there, and Darrow like ends up by himself, like trying to board her transport and everything, and I think he's got a grenade on him as well, and he's like, I'm gonna blow you up, basically. But he gets disarmed, and it gets disarmed and everything, and it all goes wrong again for him. And Fitchner's there, and it's like Fitchner, Aja, and the Sovereign and Darrow, And they think, like, I think the Sovereign asks Fitchner to kill Darrow, but instead he jumps him out of the, like, escapes out of the plane, or out of the ship with him, and they fall to safety and everything. And then it's revealed that Fitchner is Ares the whole time, which blew my mind the first time, but it sort of made sense then. Do you know? Where he was helping him and everything. And then anyway, so the Iron Rain works, and they take over Mars, and there's this whole, like, they free Augustus and everything, and there's supposed to be this whole big celebration for Darrow, triumph. I think that it was a thing in, like, Greek times. Someone correct me on that. We should know because we did Greek stuff recently in a different book. There's supposed to be this whole triumph for Darrow, and Fitchner's supposed to be there, and he's missing, and I think somebody else is missing. Mustang doesn't turn up as well. Actually, I've forgotten a bit. Backtrack a wee bit. So there's going to be this triumph, but in the meantime, Darrow takes Mustang to meet his family, meaning the Red family. He's going to tell her the truth, and there's a whole confrontation there because she's like, obviously, like, what the fuck? And there's a scene where, like, Darrow, Mustang, and Ragnar are like a mine somewhere, and she's like, oh, how could you do this and all? You're like a Red and all, and this is like she's all messed up and stuff, and then they basically all just leave it, and she gets away, and her Ragnar and Darrow leave. So now Mustang knows he's a Red, doesn't turn up to his triumph, and Fitchner's missing, and basically the climax of the book is that Darrow gets betrayed again, but this time by Roke and the Jackal, who have so the Jackal has discovered that Darrow is a Red, and has told the Sovereign and Roke and some other people. Instead of, like, having this triumph, it's actually a trap, so that they can capture everybody. The Jackal kills his dad, and Darrow gets captured and everything, and it's pretty bittersweet victory in the end. Fill in the parts that I'm missing here too, by the way, if you could, because I'm sweating again. Michael, what are you?
So the Iron Rain, I thought this was really cool moment, a really cool visual. I think if they ever make a movie out of this, or movies out of this series, I think that would be a really, really great set piece. And the way that Pierce Brown lays it out, he's just got a very great mind for the tactical piece by piece arrangement of these things. And I think it's as Jason said earlier, the action scenes are very well written, and I definitely agree with that. And the rush to the Citadel, again, another great amazing set piece. And I really enjoy the moment of confrontation with the Sovereign and the tension that is built when she demands for Fitchner to kill Darrow. I thought that was one of the most interesting moments of the book. And yeah, the Ares reveal definitely surprised me. I thought it was a cool twist. This book is obviously full of twists. I don't know if we touched on the one earlier too. There was one about Io being pregnant when she was hung.
I forgot about that.
I thought that was that was just to go back to that, I thought that was a really interesting twist too, because sometimes when, like, you have a setup where, like, the family dies or somebody dies to incite a kind of revenge plot or something like that, you kind of, if it goes on and on, you kind of forget about them, and the motivation doesn't feel that strong anymore. So I thought it was a really clever way to harken back to it.
No, you're right. Just
remind you.
Just on that, like, it's good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot all about it. But that's going way back to the gala when Darrow's kind of like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to bomb them. Like, to Harmony and everyone. That's how Harmony convinces him. She shows him, like, that Io says this before she's hanged.
Trying to remember when it happens. Yeah, that's right. No,
so that says, like, you know what? I will do that. I'm full of hate now.
Yeah. Yeah, and on to the last 10%, of the book. Thought it was really cool going back to the old back to Darrow's old home and all, and his talk with his mum, and talking about Uncle Narrow, how he's dead, but it's kind of with a wink and a nod, and I really liked the meeting with Denise. I thought there was a lot of emotional weight to this section of the book, and the tension of revealing this side of his life to Mustang. I thought that was all played very, very well. As I said at the beginning, this was my favourite section of the book, of the series. This part after the quote-unquote climax, well, what we learn is there's obviously more to come, because then the great betrayal, and the betrayal, I thought it was really well done for the fact that the pieces were so well laid out and so well foreshadowed throughout the book. It made complete sense why Roke went that way. And obviously we're nearly had over the head with it that don't trust the jackal, the whole book. So you kind of knew something was coming on his end too. But I think the Roke part of it was really, it shouldn't have been surprising because of like everything that happened, but it was, the brutality of it made it surprising to me anyway. I thought it was a great, just the way it was so brutal, and it was really that, again, what I was getting at with The Empire Strikes Back. It was even, even more brutal and darker than that, but it really suited the series, and I think the sequel, it's always a good idea for the sequel to end with a big loss. It just sets it up really well, and I think, the denouement, the ending, everything about that section, really well handled. My favourite part of the series so far.
Yeah, you mentioned about the meeting the niece and everything. That scene, I forgot about that, but that scene, I love that, where he speaks to his mother and everything, and he's come back to his home, his childhood home now as a gold, and he doesn't look anything like himself, but his mother still knows who he is and everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was really nice. Yeah.
And then, Roke, it should have been obvious, like you said, but yeah, I was still surprised. And it turned, in the end, he wasn't a good guy. He was sort of like just another gold in the end because of the brutality of what he did. Yeah, love that.
When I think of this book, when I think of this series, the first thing that always comes back into my head is actually that sort of scene of Darrow going back to his family, and sort of Mustang leaving him there. Like, that is what I always sort of remember about these books. I think that genuinely might be one of my favourite parts of the whole entire 6 books, because I say it's one of the few scenes that just sticks out to me. I thought it was just very well written. It sort of shows the sort of loving relationship between Darrow and his mum, and just the sort of complexity of his character now being a red but being a gold. I thought there was quite a lot of change in the relationships here. Like, I think we built on the relationship of Darrow and Ragnar. Like, Darrow trying to sort of break him a wee bit, sort of get underneath his skin a wee bit in terms of like this sort of oblivion just shell that he has, and the religious sort of side of things.
Oh yeah, he sort of tries to like prove to him that it's all lies.
Yeah, where he's just like very much set in his ways. But I think we get like that sort of building of a relationship with him, and then we also get, as Michael or you said, one of you said, like, we're getting head over the head with the Roke stuff and the sort of breakdown of that relationship. One thing I found interesting, I sort of noticed on re-listening to this book, is that like when, I think it's after the Iron Rain, like when Roke gets sent off to capture the Bologna fleet, I think like Darrow, like he gives Darrow a kiss on the cheek, which then obviously betrays him later down the line. I just sort of thought that was a bit almost like Judas marking Jesus with a kiss, that was sort of what jumped out to me a wee bit with that. And I think this is where the series really matures, this sort of final quarter, this whole book, I suppose, really. But I know I talked about this previous review where I felt like it is a bit of a YA book, but there are some mature themes dotted in, but I still could sort of take the sort of reading level and complexity of the first book as like a YA, whereas I feel like this book just has a lot more like lore and a lot more going on around it, and just a lot more bigger sort of reveals and everything happening, such as this betrayal at the end, which I think sort of just helps to push this book into the bigger sort of older stratosphere almost. I think that's all I really have to say.
That was great, thank you, Johnny. Last things.
Yeah, very, very, very good ending, very strong ending, and definitely set up well for the next one. There's just, while I'm thinking about this, it's just what Jason was saying there about how it matures. I think the main point for me is like the Arch-Governor, you feel like in a normal story, he's the one that's basically ordered Eo's death, and like the ultimate goal is Darrow killing him at some stage and defeating that evil. And I thought this just shows you, this was a good thing to show you how big the problem is. That
absolutely.
The contrast of what Darrow's revenge goal is and what Eo's dream is. Like, it just shows how insignificant the Arch Governor is, and that his own son has basically just killed him, and just like that's like the problem has actually become greater for Darrow. Like it hasn't solved anything. It's actually just made things worse that the Arch Governor is now dead. I just thought that kind of contrast was really apparent in the scene. There's like the scene earlier on, can't remember what part of the book it was at, but like Darrow and the Arch Governor was talking, and like Darrow, like when the Arch Governor asks Darrow anything, like he always tells it. Darrow always gives him a straight answer and tells him how it is rather than what he wants to hear, which I think is maybe linking him back to how he is as a Red. You know, he's made the point earlier that golds will just backstab each other, do whatever to get to the top. They'll just side with whatever. So I feel like other golds will always tell, you know, the Arch Governor whatever he wants to hear, but because Darrow actually isn't the gold, yeah, that's why he's so blunt and honest with him, which I think is why the Arch Governor likes him. I like the whole scene then where, I think it's the scene where Arch Governor asks him to be his son whenever he's
Oh, when they've taken Mars and all.
Yeah. So the Arch Governor, like Darrow's kind of realizing that the Arch Governor isn't actually like a bad guy. He's just trying to do all the way as bad. Like it's like he's trying to do what's best for society. It's not like he's inherently evil and is just doing evil things. He's actually just doing what he thinks is going to be the most benefit to humanity, and that's why like he believes there has to be this order and stuff like that, like why there has to be these ranks, and he does this big explanation. And Darrow, although maybe not still doesn't agree with it and is still out for Eo's dream and all, he understands more of why the Arch Governor does what he does. And I wouldn't say that I liked him or anything, but I feel like he got more on side with him, just for the way I thought about it. It was like that was kind of the foreshadowing of here the Arch Governor isn't the ultimate evil here. Like there is something else going on, and the Arch Governor is but a pawn in this whole mad society. I thought that that I liked that whole scene as well, and the whole stuff of Ragnar I thought was brilliant. How like this, it's forbidden for them to have a razor, and how Darrow's like, nope, he can have one. And obviously Darrow knows that the Obsidians are basically slaves like the Reds are, and you know they're going to need as many as they can in this uprising, and obviously the Obsidians being they're bred for war and stuff, it'd be good to have them on side. So I think that this is just brilliant for that, and you know I can just see Ragnar being this leader of them or whatever. The whole Mustang thing then I think is obviously before I get on that, because I wanted to say a bit more about that, I think the Fitchner being the Ares was just a madness reveal. I did not see that, because for me in my head Fitchner's this like we I don't know, he's not like a badass character, nothing. He's just like this kind of he's like, how do you call that other guy?
He's a bit like
Michael,
Snape or something, isn't he?
It's a wee bit like Snape.
Yeah, he's just like you didn't expect him to be the hero that he is or something like that. It's just But I thought it was a
that's how
brilliant reveal.
good he was at his job. He's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, and like you get that whole story about like why is he going against the Golds, because he himself has a Gold, and it's because he married a Red or whatever, and then just because the Golds, because of like inconvenienced them, they killed his wife or something like that. And I was like, they didn't even know who she was. They just like, she was a number or something like that, and they just killed her, and the people that killed her probably don't even remember doing it because she was just that anonymous to him. I thought that whole story and how it links basically is a similar story to what happened to Darrow, gave a really good link. And then just the fact then that Fitchner is killed, that you get his head in the box not that long after he's revealed who he is and stuff. I thought again that has just like set up some serious repercussions for the next one as well, that Ares is dead and we haven't even found out what's going to happen there with the sons of Ares and stuff. But yeah, then I think the main one that I wanted to just quickly go on, there was the whole Mustang thing, and like Darrow talking to his mother. I think the whole talk to his mother was really good, because like there's that lovely moment of her recognizing him, even though how the hell can she recognize him? So it's this lovely mother thing, but then you get this like the character of the mother, she's just such like a realist. He like says like he wants to free all the Reds and all, and she goes, and what will we do when we're free? Like this is all we know and stuff. And it kind of like has Darrow wants this whole big glory and thing of freedom and all, but will being free actually help the Reds?
Yeah.
It's like that's, the whole thing in Game of Thrones, when Daenerys frees all the slaves, but like a lot of them want to go back into the service of their masters because that's the only life they've ever known, and they don't actually know how to survive outside of that.
I think Mustang touches on that earlier on in the book, just in random, bit of chat while they're flying between planets or something. She says, she's talking about like something about like the different colours or something, and she says something because Darrow's going to try and break or take down the sovereign or anything, and she's like, do you understand the things that you're trying to break and all? So it's kind of linking back to that, where she kind of gets it.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the whole interaction there with his mother and how it wasn't just, I thought it was just going to be this whenever it started with that wee lovely scene, I thought it was going to be like that, just throughout. And then it just got like very real all of a sudden, and there was actually a conflict with his mother about this whole thing that he's fighting for. I thought that was well done. And then the whole thing with Mustang, I think, was brilliant. The way he left her with that message, like he didn't even reveal that he was a red. He just let her like watch a video and was like, if you leave, I'll know that you, or like if you come into the house after you've watched this, I know you're genuine about wanting to be with him or whatever. And she doesn't come in, and she actually goes, and then like he tracks her, but she's smart enough that she knew there was a tracker on her, and then like she's like catches him out of her in a cave, and like the whole conflict between them of her saying how the hell how can like them be friends, like her father killed his wife and stuff, and she's like, so it's not even like she's betrayed it. I feel like she feels that she's betrayed him because of what her race of gold or whatever has done to him. But it's, at the same time, it's like, like how can her and him even be together? How can she love him when it's like, how can she ever trust him to not wipe out her whole family or whatever? Even though that's not an issue anymore because her father is dead and her brother is fucking not more or less her brother anymore because it was his responsibility, or he was the one that killed the father and was the one that was responsible for her brother getting killed as well, which I thought was a brilliant reveal, that it was the Jackal that actually like paid Karnas or whatever to kill his brother. Yeah, the Jackal's just a fantastic character, and he is very like the Joker. He just wants to cause chaos. But yeah, really, really strong ending. Really loved the ending of this book. Yeah.
Nice. Good, lot of good points in there. Thank you. I just want to finish on like a quick like summary of where we're at, right? So there's this party at the end for Darrow. It's revealed to be a trap. The Jackal kills Augustus. Lauren gets killed. It's Mustang is MIA. Fitchner, his head is in a box that's given to Darrow. Darrow gets drugged and then sedated basically, and Victor gets shot in the spine. So it's looking pretty bad for the friends at the very end. So the Jackal has won, essentially, like we knew he would. And that's where the book ends.
Could I bring up one more point there? I forgot all about Victra. Like, I think he's mentioned Victra earlier. I actually quite like Victra. Like, I feel very sorry for her. That she is like, she obviously loves Darrow, but he doesn't love her in that way.
Yeah.
But I think that was like a really touching wee moment at the very end, whenever it's like she's basically lying there dying, and she's just like looking at him or whatever, and he's looking at her, just being like, he knows that he's failed her, but she's kind of looking at him as if like, still I love you or whatever. I just thought it was a lovely wee moment. Like, I actually quite like Victor, and
I like Victor as a character for sure. I think she's there, and maybe not so much in this book, but I think she I've already spoiled it, right? She didn't die. She sort of develops into the strongest female presence in the series, I think.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing I want to just ask, and just want to put out there, maybe I'm just getting a bit too deep into like what's the word I'm looking for? Not theories, but conspiracy theories. But so like Fitchner's head ends up in a box. Is that any sort of reference to the film Seven, directed by David Finch? Sure.
Could be, yeah. Could be.
I just feel like the names are very similar.
Seven was what I
Pierce Brown,
I thought of when it said head in a box.
If you're out there, write down.
Just very similar names.
I don't know what you're on about, with a head in the box and Seven, like spoilers.
No, you don't even give a warning. Like,
what's in the box?
You don't actually know if it is a head in the box, like, is it? Don't you not in Seven?
What's in the box?
Sorry, that was big spoilers for a movie that's what, like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that.
Here, hold on a minute. There's some people don't even know that Darth Vader and Luke are related in some way.
Cousins,
I would say 7 is older than... It's definitely older than you, Johnny. It's 1995.
Right.
So, like, I'm sorry, I'm just going to put it out there. You should know.
It's older than you as well, apparently. 22nd of September 95.
Yeah, well, it says UK release was 5th of January 96. Still older than Johnny, but...
Right, that's the whole review. We'll move on to star rating now, sure. Unless you have anything else you want to say about it.
No, let's go. Star rating.
Star rating. I'll go first. I don't think it's any surprise. I have to give it a 10. I gave the first book a 10, and this one, like I said, was a step up. I probably should have given it a wee bit lower, knowing that I was going to rate this one higher. You know, the first book lower, but sure, here we are now. 10. Loved it. Absolutely. Would returned it every so often. Yeah. Whoever wants to go first can go.
I mean, I'll jump in because I think I give my score away pretty much from the start. 10. You know, I just really love this book. Really love the whole series. There definitely will be weaker numbers, but I think this is one of the strongest in the series. This book, yeah, 10. I don't really have any massive flaws that really detract from this for me. I think it's just an excellent book.
I guess I can go. Yeah, I give the first book an 8 out of 10. Just to, again, kind of give some base. I thought this was a step up, as you said. Brilliant start, brilliant middle, brilliant end. Just loved a lot of the characters here. I would agree that maybe some didn't get flushed out as much, I guess. Like, that I think that they, like you mentioned, they will be in future books. I loved a lot of the surprises and reveals in this. There was just the right amount. It wasn't overwhelming, but there was a lot of things I just didn't see coming. Yeah, I thought there was a lot of action throughout this book, which I enjoyed. Yeah, so as I said, it's a step up. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll go. So I give the last one, I think, was it 7.5? I give.
Yeah.
Aye.
And as I said, like the other guys, this was a step up for me. It ironed out a lot of the things that I pointed out that I didn't like in the first one. It improved a lot of the aspects. They occurred to me throughout the review, but I didn't get a chance to mention them. Another thing that improved in this, I think, was I mentioned I didn't feel like Darrow had enough inner conflict about the whole gold and red separation. That was definitely a lot more present in this book, and I appreciated that. And the world building, again, throughout this series is really great, and it just expands in so many ways. And this book, and where you get a lot of books where they have like a really closed in first book and then they have to expand in the second book, what happens, especially it happens in the Hunger Games, for example, the world starts to fall apart and you realize this world doesn't make much logical sense. That does not happen here. The world building was very, very thorough and everything made complete sense. And you just know he did a really good job of the world building. The plot, as I mentioned, the first part I thought was really, really strong. The ending was phenomenal. Through the middle, again, it just might be a personal taste thing, but the action was almost a bit too much for me. I would have liked some more like character, slow drama scenes, kind of like sort of like the scenes we got towards the end, and sort of like the scene with the truth, kind of with the Sovereign. Would have liked a few more scenes like that and a few more character scenes just to break things up, because I started to feel a bit fatigued nearly with the action, and it made me go away from the book for a wee while to take a break and then come back to it. So that was the only big detractor on the plot and the characters I've touched on. I think Darrow was even better in this book. Severo was really good in this book. As I said, I was a bit disappointed that Augustus didn't get a bit more fleshed out, and I thought the female characters were given a bit short shrift. But I really liked Ragnar. I really liked Fitchner. Trying to think, Lorne, thought it was a good character. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good characters in this book. So I'm going to bump my score up for this book to an 8. I'm just not quite there with love with this series yet. Maybe who knows, further down the line.
Give him another 4 months for
But
Stephen's
I think it's
next
a
pick.
really,
To wrap it all up, yeah.
I think it's a really, really good science fiction book. I'm just not quite there with love yet.
Alright, cool. Let's see, what's next? So that's good. What's that average score? 9 something? Doesn't matter.
9.25.
Okay, so next is comparison to other media, and we've sort of touched on it already. You know, Dune, Empire Strikes Back, Seven,
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. Yeah, there's loads of stuff there. I think there's a lot of inspirations in this book. Unless anybody has one they want to talk about, I think we can just move on. All right, cool. Trivia, I don't have any. forgot to look it up,
I sort of spoiled mine with
think,
fiction in the future.
which is unconfirmed, but I like it.
The
Well,
trivia I learned is that.
Oh, go on, Michael. Go first.
Well, I was just going to say the trivia I learned is that Pierce Brosnan is very handsome. Didn't see a picture of him during the previous book, and then
Yeah,
I saw. I was
handsome.
like, it's just not fair to like be publishing these books and also be handsome. It's just like
I actually don't think I've seen him.
you have to pick your lane.
He looks a bit like, geez, what do you call him?
Jar Planky.
Patrick. What do you call him? Patrick Dempsey?
Yeah.
Who I'm talking
A
about?
wee bit there.
From, what's he from? What do you call it, Joe? I'm in a nightmare here.
The Doctor one.
Yeah. Aye.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, that's it. Jesus, I couldn't get it out there.
I took me
I think one thing I maybe wanted you to update, and Stephen, there's something you said the last time about, like, they were talking about doing a series or a movie or something for this. What did that
Yeah,
really
I
happen
think
there?
he's been trying to get a series off the ground for this for a wee while now. I think he's got a bit of George R. R. Martin syndrome in that, and that's why the last 2 books have been delayed.
Right.
But I'm
least he's
not
young.
sure. There's one book to go, but I'm pretty sure he's trying to get a series going as well, yeah. Which I think will be class,
I think-
if that was a TV show.
Yeah, I think this would make a great TV show, especially
It's very
nowadays.
cinematic,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
You can see it's being cancelled by Prime after like 2 seasons.
Yeah, and that would kill me if that happened.
And because of what I said about Star Wars, I think they should get Hayden Christensen to play Darrow.
Oh, I'd love that. Nah, he's too old now, though.
Too old.
But he's going to get his do reconstructed and all, so it'll be him, but like really CGI'd or prosthetics or something.
It should be an Apple TV. I haven't got a mention in today. It should be an Apple TV. Original.
Very good.
Yeah. Alright, before we go to the next pick, do you want to guess what's going to happen in the next book? Obviously, Jason, you're exempt.
Okay,
Well-
Stephen.
I won't do a proper guess because we're going to do that, but I want to say that, you know, the Jackal knew that Darrow was a red. And I feel like that wasn't Mustang that betrayed him. I feel like she will still be, especially with what the Jackal did, like her whole reason that she didn't side with Darrow there at the end, I think that she kind of ran off, is because, like, she is still, you know, more for her family. But her family is fucking basically just a brother now who is obviously more or less not, because he's the one that's killed the rest of her family. So she's on her own, so I feel like she will come back and side with Darrow and help the rebellion. That's kind of just a small part of what my future guess will be when we actually do a podcast.
How's Darrow going to get out of this one? Yeah?
He's going to jump on the pod and kamikaze and do something.
That's about right. Sounds about right.
Sounds
Michael, what about you?
I was going to say, I think Mustang's going to do like a Han Solo and come back and save Darrow, and somehow she will have made connections with Uncle Naro and he'll be there too, or there'll be Reds on the rescue mission.
Alright, cool. Well, we'll have to find out in, what'd you say, 4 months, Jason? When's my next pick? 4 months? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Depends how our release schedule goes, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's me. Hand it over to Johnny for the next book.
Okay. So this book that I'm picking is recently, and by that I mean maybe within the last year or so, had a show on Netflix come out about it, and I watched the show and thought it was just unbelievable. It is something that I mentioned on this podcast before. Hopefully I'll ask he's want to reveal it if he's watched it yet. But I haven't read the book, but I've had recommendations from people I work with about doing this book basically next on the podcast. So the book is The Free Body Problem, and that is written by, I don't even know how you pronounce this, Sikin Lu. Since it's spelled Cixinliu, so like a Chinese or.
I sent the screenshot in the chat.
Is it,
Yeah,
I was so confident of
and
the
then
book you meant. I've set the screenshot in our chat.
I knew exactly what book it was going to be as soon as you mentioned it's based off a
On
series.
Netflix.
yeah.
I actually bought it a while ago
Yeah.
because I was like, Johnny's definitely going to pick this at some stage.
Absolutely.
you're gonna have to figure out how to pronounce that name before the next episode.
I say Sixin
I think
Lu.
I say it's Cheyenne.
The narrator usually says it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Start.
well, and it's translated then by Ken Lu as well, because I think it was written in Chinese or whatever, or Mandarin they start with. And then it's the one that's narrated by Daniel York Lowe.
Perfect. That's the one I have.
Did any's watch the show?
I watched, I think,
No.
part of the first episode, but Sarah wouldn't watch it with me. Or something. Something happened
Yeah.
where we didn't finish the first episode, but I did want to watch it.
What about you, Michael? Did you watch it or look at it?
No, I watched the trailer and then I watched $100 trailers and then I never watched something the way you do on Netflix.
Body problem.
Right. I guess we can, because you've all heard at least a wee bit about it. I feel like these are all in the same boat for the guests, so I guess we can do the guests. So whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. So never go first in these things. I think the only thing I know about the show is that it has Sam from Game of Thrones in it. Is that correct?
Sean Bradley, I think it is.
Aye.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Sam has a bit of a problem with two other bodies.
Yeah.
with Black Pudding.
It's Marion Pippin.
No, it's going to be some absolutely mad. I feel like I did watch the trailer for it. I want to say there's some sort of element of time travel or something involved. That's all I know. And a murder. Maybe I'm thinking something else.
Can I go?
Right.
Yeah. I think the body... I could remember this from when I watched it, but I'm not sure. I think the body in the title refers to like planets. So like 3 planetary bodies or something, and there's some catastrophe involving planets or something. And time travel.
Okay. So you've taken half of Jason's guess away from him.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So the year is 2073.
Right, you're
Now,
going heavy on a bit there.
human consciousness has all been uploaded to computers, and you know how people have like timeshares where they share a space for different points of the year. Instead
Right.
of having time sharing a property, people are time sharing bodies, and free consciousnesses are sharing this body, and they get 8 hours of the day, and one of them is trying to solve a crime and is not aware of what the other 2 are doing.
I feel like you just described Severance mixed with that one Netflix show where something... what was that Netflix show? It was a sci-fi thing, and like you could download into another body or something. What was that? Anybody remember that from a few years ago? I didn't watch it.
Did you want to say
Describing
that?
that.
Don't know.
Oh, yeah, Altered Carbon.
Am I?
You're describing Severance and Altered
aye.
Carbon.
Altered
Altered
Carbon.
Carbon, yeah.
That was a good show.
It's Severance meets Alter Carbon. That's what it's
Yeah.
going to be.
If Sam from Game of Thrones has a problem with 2 other bodies, I want that point. Just putting it out there.
Alright.
I hope that's it, to be honest.
If at any point he has a problem with 2 other people,
Just know that this is actually the first time I will have had to choose a winner for the guessing game, because all my books are usually, mainstream books that everyone's always heard of.
this is a big step for you, Johnny.
It's a big step, and it's going to be difficult
Right.
because some of these guesses are madness.
So we're wrong then? Is that what you're saying?
I will say I already know who has won, but yeah.
That's just
It was me,
That
wasn't
was
it?
me.
I wouldn't say the person that's won has won because they're absolutely on the ball, but yeah.
Johnny, I guess you could say you have a
Anyway.
3-body problem.
Oh, geez.
Very good. Very good.
That has to be the opening there. No, don't put that as opening because it was...
For the next book.
Spoilers for the next book now.
Do that, and then what do you call it? What's that one show? Oh man, I'm bombing. No, that one show where they do like a punchline and then it like hits the credits.
Like cold opening.
What?
Yeah, but there's like a... forget it. Forget
Always
it.
Sunny.
No, forget I said anything.
They do it in Always Sunny. I know what you mean, but aye, cold open. Alright, well that's my next book, so just to say it again, and again, apologies for pronunciation of the author's name, but it is Sixon Liu, translated by Ken Liu, narrated by Daniel Lark Lowe, and it is The Free Body Problem, and there is a show on Netflix as well, which I think has some differences than the book, but still follows the main plot pretty closely. Also, this is one of a book in a trilogy of books, by the way.
Is it CSI? Is that what I was talking about? Do you know where there's a punchline?
Of your stuff like
A one-liner before it cuts the yeah, you know that song? Help me out here.
It hasn't given us much here. Yeah.
CSI Miami.
Could be any show.
It's one of the CSIs, anyways.
Oh, you don't? Yeah, see, Lucky knows. Good.
Ah,
I'm not crazy.
It's the Who song.
Thank you.
Anyway, Stephen.
Happy days. What else are we consuming so I can get out of here?
Who wants to go first for their consumptions?
I can go first. World of Warcraft, as always. I'm still addicted, and it's never going to break that. I'm never going to get out of it. It's a hell of a drug. I'm playing loads of that. I'm currently looking for a new guild. If anybody's out there listens, wants to invite me, reach out. Also played a lot of Hearthstone. Jason's a big fan of that too. The heroin that it is. They did inject it into my veins every so often. It's a great game. TV wise, I'm not really watching. Well, I'll tell a lie. I'm watching The Wire on Jason's suggestion. I'm about to finish season 3. It's good. It's a good watch. Thanks for recommending it. But other than that, I'm not watching anything. I need to watch Andor season 2, and I'm annoyed that I haven't followed that since it came out. Yeah, that's about it. Bored.
I'll go. I have watched Andor season 2. Pretty good television. Very good television, actually. I would say by far the best Star Wars TV show, if not by far one of the best TV shows of the last decade.
I think it already had that from season 1, so it's good to hear it's still good.
I think it's an amazing show. What else have I been up to? I have finally finished book 1 of the Stormlight Archive, so I finished The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Very good book, very lengthy, very dense book.
Absolute doorstop.
Oh, aye. I've started the second one. The second one's another 100 pages longer. But yeah, very good. Just very dense. But I'm just trying to get really into the Cosmere novels, so that'll be me for the next few years, realistically. Trying to get through all those.
Yeah.
What else have we been doing? I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Been really tempted to play Elden Ring Night Rain, but I haven't bought the can't speak now. I haven't bit the bulge yet. I haven't bought it, mostly because I probably can't commit to a 3-player online game.
Is that full price as well, like a full game price?
It's 35 quid.
Sorry.
No, it's not DLC. It's a full
not
brand new game.
Is it? I thought it was DLC for the first game. Alright.
No. It's like a brand new roguelike 3-player Elden Ring game. I mean, it's still set in the Elden Ring universe, but yeah, it looks. I was watching a video of it this morning. It looked very good, but I'm trying not to buy it. Other than that, I don't think I've been doing very much really. But you have quite a busy summer coming up. But yeah, chilling.
Who's next?
I can go. I have been gaming, playing. I've actually been playing Assassin's Creed, but I've been working through them. I'm now on Assassin's Creed Unity, which I never played. It's one set during the French Revolution. Yeah, it's pretty decent. I think it was the first one, that kind of started doing enemy health and all, a health bar above it and stuff like that, which now kind of is what most of them do because they're full on RPGs now. But yeah, pretty good so far. But yeah, been playing as well the Division, which is another Ubisoft game. It's like a open world, it's basically got the same kind of elements as the open world Assassin's Creed ones, the RPG ones, but it's with guns instead. But yeah, it's decent as well. So I've been playing those. Been watching I've actually gone back. I've been watching. I remember Jason. You remember in the we used to watch clips of the Eric Andre show. Been rewatching the actual show. Well, not rewatching. Actually watching the show. I've never actually seen the proper show. I just seen best bits.
No, we just watched the same clips about 500 times.
Yeah, well, funny.
You sound better than Jason.
Jason hates crack.
I hate crack.
Yeah, what else have I been doing? Not really much else, to be honest. I've been trying to buy a house at the minute and spend a lot of time going to house viewings.
Belfast, is it?
Basically, up in Belfast. So, yeah, buying houses. It's a big commitment and a lot of work in terms of going to view houses, getting mortgages sorted and all.
Pain in the arse, eh?
Well.
Pain in the arse. So, that's been taking up a lot of my time recently. So, yeah, I've been kind of just chilling in the evenings. Not really doing much watching, just stupid fucking shit on TV, not any serious shows or anything. But yeah, that's me.
Your Glasgow's got nice houses, Johnny.
Shithole too.
Yeah, so just to let listeners know, so we took a break there from recording for a little while. I sort of could feel myself my mental health just deteriorating for a while, and I sort of just said to you guys I want to take a step back from the podcast for a while and that you guys should go on without me. And I didn't really pay attention to anything that happened, and I didn't realize that there was no episodes or anything recorded, and I removed myself from everything kind of, and just was really focusing on just my kind of frame of mind and my physical health, which, because I think the whole mind physical balance is very important as well. And I was just kind of locking everything in and really focusing. I'm making that my main focus for the last few months. So I apologize that the podcast hasn't been on any kind of schedule that it has been usually, but I just had to do that kind of. And the last few months I really have been going at it hard, kind of addressing a lot. I've been meditating every day, and I've been out running again a lot, and I joined a run club, and I've been doing training programs and stuff, and I've been I went one morning, went a bike ride and then went to swim, and then I've just been experimenting with a lot of things. I went to a yoga class once and I hated it, so it's not for me, but I've just been trying to do as much as I can to experiment to see what made me feel better. And yeah, I feel a lot better now than what I did. And yeah, my head's a lot clearer, and I feel like I'm dealing with stress a lot better. I was telling the guys at the start, my kitchen ceiling caved in because of water, and my partner was crying. She was very upset about it, as was a reasonable reaction. And I was just kind of oh, it's okay, we'll get it sorted, and usually I would have been so stressed about something like that, and I felt completely calm, and just dealing with stuff like that a lot better, and having hard conversations with people that I've had to have. It's felt a lot easier, and just going outside, because when I get really anxious, I find it sometimes hard to leave the house, and it's a lot easier now, and my anxiety feels a lot lower, and I've given up a lot of stuff. I think the last 20 days I've had 2 cups of coffee. Not that I think coffee is a terrible thing or anything. Again, I'm just experimenting with things and seeing what makes me feel a certain way and stuff like that. So I've got one of the things I mentioned, I've gotten really into running. So I joined a running club, and I think at the start of the year, I said one of my goals this year was to run a marathon. I wanted to run the Belfast Marathon, but I missed the boat on that. I wasn't fit enough by the time that rolled around. So I signed up for a marathon in Italy, in Turin, in November. So training for that now. I'm doing that with my friend Ryan Walker, he's not on this podcast, but he's training as well hard. There's another guy from my running club as well, as he's said that he's going to do it as well. So I think he's booked it, and also I'm really looking forward to that. I've got a couple of half marathons up before that, and I've got a 10k race next week. So yeah, I've been really, really enjoying that. And I think I said to you guys before, I've been trying to run without headphones. I said that last year. I found that really difficult, but for some reason now I find it really easy, and it gives me a lot of space, and it gives me this moment of boredom and self-reflection that I think I really needed. And it's just a nice time to think and reflect on things and kind of mull it over, and I needed that quiet. And I think like boredom and not having stimulation is such an important thing that we kind of need. And I am as guilty as anybody that I always need to be stimulated, and I always need to be listening to something or reading something or doing something or watching something. And I just think I needed that boredom in my life. That just moment of self-reflection has really helped a lot, I think, more than anything else. So it's something I would definitely recommend. It doesn't have to be running. You can do that. You know, you can have that moment of self-reflection if you go out and walk. But I would recommend like trying to do it, not listening to like a podcast or music or anything, just to get that kind of that like mental dialogue going on, because I think that's one thing I was really missing. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot better, and I'm looking forward to starting to record stuff and make stuff again and getting back on track of that. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that gap, and I'm sorry that I left so abruptly. I just, you know, I didn't know how to explain it. I couldn't even like put it into words what I was feeling, but I just had to remove myself from things for a while. But I'm glad to be back now.
Yeah, glad to hear you're feeling better, and no need to apologise. Like I said to you in chat, we're all big boys. We could have sorted it. We just didn't bother.
I think we're all glad of a break, in fairness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jonathan said that. He said he thinks everybody needed a break anyway. So no, that's good. Like, yeah, just basically everything just feels better, you know, everything. But I know it's like still, it's a process. I need to keep doing everything, and I need to keep trying things and not let things like slowly unravel the way they can happen. You just have to keep an eye on things, and it's shocking like how quickly you can kind of like just get into a bad place in your head, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's everybody. Is there anything else we do before we plugs?
Yeah, any plugs you want to throw out there before we finish up here?
I think on the last one, which we only released last month, but we actually recorded a few months ago, and then I was given a talk at a meetup about some of the blogs that I have been writing. So I did that. It was a very good experience. Turns out I do enjoy speaking of things. I did do the best man speech at Jay's wedding as well, and turns out I'm actually quite good at public speaking.
You're good at that, in fairness.
Yeah, gonna look forward to doing some more of that in the future, but I've been still just working on the blogs in the background, so yeah, that will be linked.
Was it recorded?
Technical program. It's on YouTube as well, so I'll try and get that linked.
Sweet link.
Yeah. So awesome. That's me.
I have nothing.
As usual, I also have nothing, so
yeah, I think, like I said at the start of the year too, it was like my goal to record both of the books that I've written and put them out in podcast form. I have fully recorded the fantasy book, but it needs edited, and that is going to take maybe a month or two as well while I record the other one. So I still think that I can hit that goal for this year. So I'll probably be able to talk about more concrete release maybe next episode or maybe the episode after that. So yeah, still working on things, and maybe I'll have like something more definite to plug next episode.
Yeah, that'd be good. Be interesting.
All right. Yeah, looking forward to that. All right. Well, if that's everything, we'll get it wrapped up. And sure, thanks for listening, and see you next time, where we'll be talking about The Three Body Problem by Leo Shishin, as Google tells me. See you then.
See you on the flip.
I forgot to say it.